Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about training maxes and how so many guys misunderstand them. And I've seen this with clients, I see it with lifters all online, other coaches I know, we all laugh about it. We'll see someone say, oh, this is a training max. They'll put it up and they'll claim it's a training max and it's literally more than their 1 rep max, right? In other words, they'll be hitching on their deadlift. They can't lock it out. Their squat will be 6 inches high, with all sorts of, knee cave and everything. Or their bench, they'll have to bounce it off their chest, or they'll have to lift their ass off the bench in order to lock it. And they'll call it a training max. And the truth is that is heavier than a 1 rep max. They can't even max that weight, right? They can't even correctly lift that weight through the full range of motion with correct form as 100%. And so a training max, and it's important to know training maxes, because if you're going to run the conjugate method like the way Winning does it, which is how I have my conjugate people do it, or you're going to run 5-3-1 or whatever, it's important to understand that a training max really does mean that. A training max is a weight that is just heavy enough to give you the training response of a max, which means 90% or higher, right? In other words, what does that mean? If your max is 500 pounds, anything 450 plus will give you the same training effect in terms of muscle fiber recruitment, intermuscular coordination, everything else that you would get from doing a max, but it won't beat you up as much. And so Winning usually tells people 90%, 90 to 92%. All right, Windler has people start with 90% or even as low as 85% of their true max and count it as a training max. And when I get new clients and they give me this stuff, they're like, why are you having my training max as a weight that I've lifted for 5 reps? And it's like, because that's a good starting training max to work off of, to build off of. Okay. About 85 to 87% of your max. It's a little light for a training max, but for starting for a system to where you're going to work off a training max, it's a good starting point. And then you build it up over time. Okay, but when guys go to test a training max, if they want to actually test a training max and count it, for conjugate or whatever, good rule of thumb, when you go to grab that weight, it should move fast, generally 2 seconds or less. And if there is any doubt in your mind about getting a second rep, so in other words, if you go to grab 500 pounds and you lift it, right? When you finish the lift, if there is any doubt in your mind that you could get a second rep right there, it's too heavy to be a training max. Because a training max is a weight that for a single, you should have 100% ability on a good day to do a double with. On your best day, you might even be able to grind out a triple with it. Okay, so if you pick it up and go, well, that was heavy enough, I don't think I could have got a second rep. Well, you went too heavy. That's not a training max. And if you want to calculate a training max, then you need to reduce it slightly, reduce it a couple percent. Okay, because that's not a training max. It's not a training max. And it's bad because you'll prescribe to clients, and men are worse about this. Women don't really do this. Men do this. And it's the ego thing that, again, you can prescribe them a training max and tell them, look, ramp up to it. And they won't do that. A lot of them won't until you grind it into their head that this is what you expect. And some of them will get on board when you have them grab a weight that they know they couldn't get for 4 or 5 reps. If they can get it for 5 reps, keep adding weight, like if they have that feel. But when they get to a point to where they say, okay, I can get a second rep with that, I could definitely pull a second rep or lift a second rep. That's a good stopping point when ramping up to test a training max. Okay, if there's any form breakdown, it's not a training max. It should be perfect. It should be beautiful. It should be smooth. Right? In other words, a training max should be, follow the rules of competition, meaning it may not be the exact competition lift, but there better be no up and down of the bar. If it's any sort of deadlift, no hitching. If it's a squat, it needs to be to depth. If it's any sort of press, it needs to be paused on the chest. You need to lock it. within the ability of your structure. Okay? Training maxes are not true maxes. And what we would also use as a training max, because if we're going to program off of them, if you're going to program off training maxes, you're going to have days where you're not at 100% when you get to the gym. Your training max allows you to hit the target reps and work you were going to do even on a bad day. Because if we're working off percentages of reps for a training max, let's say you're doing 5 reps with 85%, 5 plus, right? If it's a bad day for you, the training max might be a max. Like you didn't get a good night's sleep, your stress is too high, you're mildly sick. And you're calculating off a training max, you should still be able to get a training max in those situations. Like let's say you partied all night and you have a hangover. You should be able to hit your training max. It's just going to be really hard. A training max would be a lift that you could hit on your worst day at the gym, no matter what. So if you have that, at least you know you will get the 5 reps, for example, off of that. Okay, and it's important for us to do this, and here's why, even to get stronger at maxing. Training maxes allow us to practice lifting heavy with perfect form. Right? They allow us to practice lifting heavy with perfect form without grinding, without form breakdown. Because if every heavy set you do, or single you do, or triple, or anything else that you do, the form degrades, you're going to ingrain that habit. If you have up and down to the bar, you misgroove it because, again, you use compensatory strength. You're now going to start doing that on your heavy singles. You're going to do that now when you max out. And if you're going to compete in something, it's a problem. And we come back over to the injury thing. It's not lifting heavy that hurts us. It's overuse, usually sometimes combined with form degrading, combined with overuse. That's how we get hurt. Right? If you're not experiencing overuse, you have no overuse currently occurring or inflammation in your tendons, and you hit the heaviest lift anyone has ever hit in the world, an all-time world record, but it doesn't have any form breakdown, it's fast and smooth, and you don't have any other overuse occurring, you're not going to get hurt doing it. It's not lifting heavy that hurts us. It's these other factors. Okay, it's these other factors. And working with things like training maxes makes this go away. All right, and it's not necessary for us to learn to grind. I disagree with that concept. A lot of people say that, well, you need to learn how to grind. Why? You need to learn how to strain. But you know what? 92% of a max should cause some strain, right? If your max is 600 pounds and you grab 550 plus, you should be straining a little bit. Just like you saw me straining right there in that squat. That wasn't 100% of a max, but I strained a little bit. Exactly. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.